on what Socrates says he is and is not guilty of. That this is a trial is very important. And so we get, all kinds of ideas and questions and issues coming up in terms of arguing a case in a court of law. Socrates very interestingly says that, and this is much wider than just the law, that the jury's biased, that he has a bad reputation, and that people won't listen to what he has to say because of it. He says he's slandered, and that's really he's slandered and told everyone has said that he's a pest, a corrupter, a meddler, and maybe we could throw some curse words at it, if you will. And he acknowledges in a way that's true, but that doesn't really count as what he should be convicted of. That per se is not against the law. But two things said, and he said these are serious charges and important charges that he is literally accused of, are one, corrupting the young, and two, not believing in the gods, some kind of religious heresy. And then he goes into his defense against those things. But he says the real thing and the real reason that he will, and he seems to know that he's going to be convicted. And as I said before, he sort of eggs it on in huge senses here. Are people's preconceived notions about him. And he says it's not fair. Um, these accusations are said behind closed doors. He has no chance to defend himself. He doesn't know exactly specifically what they are. So to defend himself, he says it's like fighting with the shadows. And rather an impossible thing, and that's the idea and an interesting metaphor with respect to this. This isn't just about the law, it's about life in different ways, shapes, and forms, and interestingly and importantly. So what he says he does is he goes around and he questions people and he ties it to an oracle, some kind of prophet, um, uh, religious prophet or seer, sometimes put here, um, uh, who has spoken of Socrates as someone that no one is wiser than, is the literal claim that he brings up here, or idea. And he goes around and he questions people, and he talks about different groups, and he says interestingly what happens with the different groups. He says those that are in politics and rather in positions of power, they don't hold up to examination of what they're putting forth. They don't seem to have knowledge, at least, of important things with respect to goodness, wisdom, right and wrong. He says that the poets are divinely inspired, the writers, but they can't even explain what it is they're writing. They don't understand it. It's an inspiration rather than knowledge or understanding. He says that the craftsmen know a lot. He sort of gives them a nod in a sense about their crafts, whatever it is, whatever they make or do, sort of professionally. But he makes an interesting observation from that success, there's a tendency to think that you know everything and that you know the kind of things that he thinks are most important. What it is to be good, how things work, how the world works, is to be wise, and so on. And so he's mocking people and mocks people by what was just said right there. But he doesn't think that he should, although he thinks he will, um, be convicted because of that. And so that's some important background on what's going on and who this individual is. It's interesting, challenging, upsetting, different ways.